We'll start with the top two here. We have Josh Allen number one, Justin Herbert at number two. I don't really think we have to go into too much detail with each of these guys. They're loaded with weapons. Both are obviously on a nice trajectory. Josh Allen has the rushing floor, which I think kind of gives him the edge over, Josh Allen has the rushing floor, which gives him the edge over Justin Herbert. But either way, I mean, if you end up with Herbert, if you end up with Allen, I think you're going to be just fine, depending on whoever you pick in your draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. And if we go consensus with the commish, we have Josh Allen. I've actually got Justin Herbert at number one, Josh Allen number two. I feel like they're interchangeable. Two different approaches. Josh Allen, as you mentioned, obviously he's got like the goal line back tendency, right? He could score double-digit rushing touchdowns on top of 30, 35 passing touchdowns, 4,000 yards, whatever, 700, 800, 900 yards rushing. So that's elite production. Justin Herbert is not going to give you probably more than 500, 600 yards top rushing. He can rush, by the way. Those of us that saw him in college, he can run very well. He doesn't have to in the Chargers offense, but he can do it. So if he has 300, 400, 500 yards rushing, that's a huge bonus over the top. But very, very, very few, I would say maybe 3, maybe 4 quarterbacks in the entire NFL have the ability and potential to throw for 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. Yes. And I think Justin Herbert is one of those guys. I don't think Josh Allen is, but he can run for it. Patrick Mahomes obviously can. He's done it, right? And then you might be able to throw 1 or 2 other guys in there. But I think Herbert just takes a step. His entire offense, I believe in more than the Bills at this point, with the Chargers running back, obviously the receivers and Gerald Everett coming over. So for me, I'm going to go Justin Herbert number one, but obviously Josh Allen's been perennial top 2 for the last couple of years.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. The only thing I would say in defense of Josh Allen here, Stefon Diggs was the number 2 wide receiver in all of football with unrealized air yards, which basically means that the two of them just missed on a couple of long balls, right? Mm-hmm. If you connect on a few of those, all of a sudden that sort of 5,000 marker of what you're talking about, I think actually Allen potentially has the leap to get in there. They just need a little bit of luck to get there. And they obviously got lucky in Diggs' first year with the team in Josh Allen's sort of breakout season. So yeah, I mean, again, tomato. I think in general, this is kind of where you want to live if you end up with, the 1 or 2 pick in a super flex league. Or, if you're in a 1 QB league, if you can snag one of these guys, I think it's totally fine. They're averaging somewhere about, 25 to 24 points per game is where you kind of want to live. And they both have upside to hit you with, 30 points per game on any given week, depending on who they play.
And on top of that, Josh Allen does throw the deep ball obviously very well. Justin Herbert is elite, has been since he came in the NFL. And they have Jalen Guyton and Josh Palmer, guys that people don't talk about in fantasy, not to mention an aging Keenan Allen, who nobody respects anymore just because the guy's like almost 30. He's still elite. And then Mike Williams, if he can give us 15 games, all those guys are going to be top 12. It's insane. And then Gerald Everett, who hasn't really had a chance yet, I think he can be crushing in an offense where we saw, Cook go off last year as the tight end at like 40 years old. So Justin Herbert's got the edge for me.